The crumpled note trembled in Eliza Montgomery's manicured hands. "Please help us. My daughter hasn't eaten in 2 days. 36 hours ago she'd been closing a $500 million deal. Now, standing in the doorway of a rundown apartment, she faced a broken man and his wide-eyed little girl. She never expected that this chance encounter would shatter everything she thought she knew about wealth, love, and what truly matters in life. If you're touched by this story already, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Your support helps us continue bringing these emotional journeys to life. Eliza Montgomery had everything money could buy. At 35, she had built Montgomery Enterprises from the ground up, transforming her grandmother's small investment firm into a billion-dollar empire. Her penthouse overlooked Central Park, her closet housed designer clothes she'd never worn twice, and her name appeared regularly on Forbes's lists. But despite her wealth, something was missing. That Friday evening, Eliza had just closed the biggest acquisition of her career. The champagne had flowed freely at the celebration, but she'd slipped away early, feeling strangely hollow. The triumph she'd expected to feel had never materialized. Instead, she found herself driving aimlessly through parts of the city she rarely visited, her thoughts a jumble of questions about what all this success was really for. The rain had started suddenly, a summer downpour that turned the streets slick and shiny. She'd pulled over, intending to wait it out, when she noticed a man and a small child huddled in a bus shelter, both soaking wet. The man wore a threadbare jacket that he'd wrapped around the little girl, leaving himself exposed to the elements. Something about his protective stance, the way he sheltered the child with his body, made Eliza pause. Without thinking, she'd rolled down her window. "Do you need a ride?" "Somewhere?" The man had looked up, startled. His face was gaunt but handsome, with dark circles under intelligent eyes. "We're fine, thank you," he'd said, his voice surprisingly cultured despite his appearance. "Please," Eliza had insisted, "it's pouring. At least let me take you home." After a moment's hesitation, he'd nodded, gathering the little girl in his arms and making a dash for Eliza's Bentley. The child couldn't have been more than 5, with dark curls and enormous brown eyes that regarded Eliza with solemn curiosity. "I'm Jack," the man had said as they settled into the leather seats. "This is my daughter, Lily. I'm Eliza. Where can I take you?" Jack had given her an address in a neighborhood Eliza knew only by reputation, one of the city's poorest areas. As they drove, Lily had fallen asleep against her father's shoulder, and Jack had explained in quiet tones that they'd been at the hospital all day. Lily had asthma, and the summer humidity had triggered an attack. They'd missed their bus home. "I'm sorry about that," Eliza had said, feeling strangely inadequate. "Is she going to be okay?" "She will be," Jack had replied, stroking his daughter's hair. "She's stronger than she looks." When they'd arrived at the apartment building, Eliza had been shocked by its dilapidated state. Graffiti covered the walls, and several windows were boarded up. Jack had thanked her sincerely for the ride and carried his sleeping daughter inside. Eliza had sat in her car for several minutes afterward, troubled by the encounter. On impulse, she'd reached into her purse, pulled out a business card, and scribbled her personal number on the back. She'd hurried after them, intending to offer help. But when she reached their door, she'd found a note taped there, an eviction notice, and beside it, half hidden, was another note, written in a child's uneven handwriting. "Dear Santa, I don't want toys this year. Please help Daddy smile again. And maybe some food because we ran out. Love, Lily." That was the note, now trembling in Eliza's hands as she stood frozen in the hallway. She'd knocked, and Jack had answered, surprise evident on his face. "I saw the notices," she'd said awkwardly. "I thought maybe I could help." Jack's face had hardened. "We don't need charity." "It's not charity," Eliza had replied quickly. "It's an investment." Now, as she stood in their tiny apartment, she realized she'd never truly seen how others lived. The space was clean but nearly empty. A mattress on the floor, a small table with 2 mismatched chairs, a bookshelf filled with well-worn children's books. No TV, no computer, no luxuries of any kind. "You're an investment banker?" Jack asked skeptically. "Something like that," Eliza replied, not wanting to reveal the full extent of her wealth. I help people build financial security. Lily had woken up and was watching Eliza with those enormous eyes. Are you a princess? She asked suddenly. You look like a princess. Eliza laughed, genuinely amused. No, sweetie. I'm just someone who wants to help. We don't need... Jack began again, but Eliza cut him off. Everyone needs help sometimes, she said firmly. Even me. Over the next few hours as Lily played with a tattered doll, Jack reluctantly shared his story. He'd been a successful architect until his wife died of cancer 2 years ago. The medical bills had bankrupted him, and grief had made it impossible to work for months. By the time he'd pulled himself together for Lily's sake, his firm had replaced him, and the economic downturn had made jobs scarce. He'd been freelancing and working odd jobs, but it wasn't enough to keep up with rent and Lily's medical expenses. I've applied for assistance, he said, his voice tight with suppressed emotion. But there's always more paperwork, more waiting. Meanwhile, we're being evicted next week. Eliza listened, feeling a strange mixture of emotions. She'd always believed that success came to those who worked hard. Enough. After all, she'd built her own empire. But Jack had worked hard too. He'd simply been destroyed by circumstances beyond his control. Let me help you, she said again. Not with handouts, with opportunity. Jack looked at her suspiciously. What kind of opportunity? My company is renovating a historic building downtown. We need an architect with experience in restoration. Is that something you could do? His eyes widened. That's exactly my specialty. Before everything happened, I was known for my work with historical preservation. Then consider this an interview, Eliza said. Tell me about your approach to balancing historical integrity with modern functionality. As Jack began to speak, his entire demeanor changed. Passion lit his eyes, and his hands moved expressively as he described his philosophy of architecture. Eliza found herself genuinely impressed, not just by his knowledge but by his vision. Lily had fallen asleep again, curled up on the mattress with her doll. Jack paused mid-sentence to look at her, his expression softening. She's everything to me, he said quietly. Everything I do for her. Eliza felt something shift inside her. In all her years of business, she'd never had someone to work for beyond herself and her own ambitions. What would that be like, to have your heart walking around outside your body? I believe you, she said, and I believe in your talent. The job is yours if you want it. Jack stared at her. Just like that? You don't want to see my portfolio? Check my references? I will, of course. But I trust my instincts, and they're telling me you're exactly what we need. For the first time, Jack smiled, a genuine smile that transformed his face. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll start Monday, Eliza replied, and that you'll let me help you find a better apartment, one where Lily can have her own room. Jack's smile faded. I can't accept that. The job, yes, but I need to provide a home for my daughter myself. Eliza respected his pride, even as she calculated how to help without wounding it further. Of course. But my company offers relocation assistance for all new hires. It's standard policy. It wasn't, but it would be by Monday morning. As they continued talking, Eliza found herself sharing more than she'd intended about her own childhood in a middle-class family, her grandmother who taught her about investing, her drive to succeed that had left little room for personal relationships. It sounds lonely, Jack observed. The simple statement hit Eliza like a physical blow. Lonely. Yes, that was exactly what her life had become. She had assistants and employees and business associates, but no real friends, no family left, no one who would notice if she didn't come home one night. It is, she admitted, surprising herself with her honesty, but it's the price of success. Is it? Jack asked. Or is that just what you've told yourself? Before she could answer, Lily stirred and sat up, rubbing her eyes. I'm hungry, Daddy. Jack's face fell. I know, sweetheart. We'll have breakfast in the morning. Eliza understood immediately. There was no food in the apartment. The note hadn't been exaggerating. I'm hungry too, she said quickly. Why don't I order us all some dinner? My treat to celebrate your new job. Jack looked like he wanted to refuse, but Lily's hopeful expression changed his mind. That would be nice. Thank you, Eliza ordered from a nearby restaurant, requesting enough food for several meals under the guise of not knowing what everyone would like. As they ate, Lily chatted happily, her earlier shyness forgotten. She told Eliza about her favorite books, her dreams of becoming a veterinarian, and her belief that her mother was a star in the sky watching over them. That one, she said, pointing out the window at the brightest star visible through the city's light pollution. That's Mommy. Daddy says she picked the brightest one, so she could always see us. Jack's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and Eliza felt her own throat tighten. She'd never known love like that, love that transcended death, that remained a living presence in a child's heart. As the evening grew late, Eliza realized she should leave, but found herself reluctant to return to her empty penthouse. This tiny, nearly barren apartment felt more like a home than her luxurious residence ever had. I should go, she said finally, but I'll call you tomorrow, with details about the job. And Jack, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for seeing me, he replied simply. Not just the circumstances, but me. Lily insisted on giving Eliza a hug goodbye. Her small arms wrapped tightly around Eliza's neck, and she whispered, Are you going to be Daddy's friend now? He needs a friend. I'd like to be friends with both of you, Eliza whispered back. As she drove home through the now clear night, Eliza couldn't stop thinking about Jack and Lily, about the note that had broken her heart, about the strange twist of fate that had led her to them. For years she'd measured success in dollars and acquisitions. But what had any of it gotten her? A beautiful, empty home, recognition from people who didn't know her, power that served no purpose beyond accumulation. By the time she reached her penthouse, Eliza had made a decision. She would help Jack rebuild his career, but she would do more than that. She would use her resources to create a foundation for families like his, people who had fallen through the cracks due to medical catastrophes or other circumstances beyond their control. And perhaps, in helping others find security, she might find something she hadn't realized she was missing: connection, purpose, and maybe even love. The next morning, Eliza woke early and made several calls. By noon, she had secured a furnished apartment in a safe building near a good school for Jack and Lily as part of her company's relocation package. She'd also arranged for a proper employment contract with a generous salary and benefits that included comprehensive health insurance. When she called Jack to tell him the news, his voice was thick with emotion. I don't know how to thank you. You can thank me by doing brilliant work, Eliza replied, and by letting Lily show me the city zoo sometime. I haven't been since I was a child. It's a date, Jack said, then quickly corrected himself. I mean, an arrangement. A plan. Eliza smiled to herself. A date sounds nice, actually. But let's take things one step at a time. Over the following weeks, Jack proved himself to be even more talented than Eliza had hoped. His designs for the historic renovation were innovative while respecting the building's original character, and his colleagues quickly came to respect his expertise and work ethic. Eliza found herself creating reasons to visit the project site, ostensibly to check on progress but really to see Jack. Each time he seemed healthier, more confident, the desperate man from the bus shelter transforming back into the accomplished professional he'd once been. And Lily bloomed like a flower finally receiving sunlight. In her new school, with proper nutrition and medical care, her asthma improved and her natural intelligence shone. She drew pictures for Eliza, saved interesting rocks to show her, and always greeted her with enthusiastic hugs. 6 months after that rainy night, Eliza launched the Montgomery Second Chance Foundation, dedicated to helping families recover from medical and financial catastrophes. Jack agreed to serve on the board, bringing his first-hand experience to shape the foundation's policies. At the launch gala, as Eliza prepared to give her speech, she found herself scanning the crowd for Jack. He stood near the back, handsome in a new suit, watching her with an expression that made her heart race. Many of you have asked why I created this foundation, Eliza began. The truth is, I found a note. One night that broke my heart. It was written by a child asking not for toys, but for food and for her father's happiness. She went on to explain the Foundation's mission, careful not to identify Jack and Lily specifically. As she spoke, she realized that for the first time in her career, she felt truly proud of what she was creating, not because it added to her wealth or power, but because it would make a tangible difference in people's lives. After the speech, as donors wrote checks and pledged support, Jack made his way to her side. "That was beautiful," he said. "You're going to help a lot of families." "We are," Eliza corrected him. "I couldn't have done this without you." He took her hand, his touch sending warmth up her arm. "There's something I've been wanting to ask you. Lily and I were wondering if you'd like to come over for dinner tomorrow. She wants to cook for you, with my supervision, of course." "I'd love that," Eliza said, squeezing his hand. "And after she goes to bed," Jack continued, his voice lower, "maybe we could talk about us." Eliza felt a flutter of anticipation. "Is there an us?" Jack's eyes held hers. "I'd like there to be, if you would." 1 year to the day after Eliza had found that heartbreaking note, she, Jack, and Lily moved into a new home together. Not her penthouse or his apartment, but a place they'd chosen as a family. It wasn't as luxurious as what Eliza had been used to, but it was filled with laughter, love, and the kind of wealth that couldn't be measured in dollars. On their first night there, as Jack put Lily to bed, Eliza overheard the little girl say, "Daddy, do you think Mommy sent Eliza to us from her star?" "I think," Jack replied, "that sometimes the universe knows exactly what we need, even when we don't." Later, as they sat on their new porch swing watching the stars, Jack handed Eliza a small box. Inside was a note, folded carefully. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it," he urged. The note read, "Dear Eliza, thank for helping Daddy smile again, and for all the food, and for loving us. Love, Lily, and Daddy too." Beneath the note was a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. "Is this what I think it is?" Eliza whispered. Jack took her hand. "One night changed everything for us. You saw me when I was invisible to everyone else. You believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. You loved my daughter as if she were your own. And somewhere along the way, I fell completely in love with you." Tears filled Eliza's eyes. "I spent my whole life chasing success, never realizing that true wealth isn't about money at all. It's about connection. It's about love." "Is that a yes?" Jack asked, his eyes hopeful. "Yes," Eliza said as he slipped the ring onto her finger. 1,000 times yes. As they sealed their promise with a kiss, Eliza thought about the journey that had brought them here.